All right, welcome everybody. Mil-Spec Ops Monkey here. It's going to be 1:30 p.m. Central Standard Time coming to you from the great state of Texas. It's going to be June 29th, 2021. And so without further ado, hey, before we get started, just make sure that you hit the thumbs up, the like, and the bell for notification. I keep forgetting to say that. So just thought I'd tell you before I go to the next screen. So without further ado, let's get over to the right screen. So that said, we are sitting right now. It's showing about 411, but that's because I have persistence on. So we're going to bug out of that. It'll drop probably by about 75 aircraft once I do that. But I just wanted to catch a couple things. You guys can see we've got the Gitmo 842 currently down in the Keys, it looks like. And so that's going to be your base commander or the assistant base commander. And then we've got this D328. So you guys know in a secondary, these aircraft right here, now that one is showing as a HC-144A Ocean Sentry. But just so you guys know, this right here is Spec Ops. That's going to be U.S. Air Force. Those guys are probably going to be supporting a lot of the, the tip of the spear guys, right? All your Spec Ops dudes that are out in the field. These will get them in and out. This aircraft is a little high wing. It's got some PT-6A engines on it that are they're just workhorses, and so with that little short wheelbase, this thing can land just about anywhere. So it's a pretty cool little bird. But when you see those out and about in different countries, things of that nature, just know that those little 146As are going to be special operations. Okay. And so that said, let's back up just a little bit. It looks like we've got some fighter activity off the coast of Florida. And I had a couple, let me see, some P8s off of here just a little while ago, but that looks like that one's in and the other one's already landed. So let me turn persistence off. We'll get down to a real number as we kind of break out the board here. Looks to be a fair amount of heavies up, a lot of air refuelers. And let me just double check here. I was looking at a couple things. I thought I saw Night Watch up, but not seeing that. Okay, that's a little sentry there. So, okay, that said, let's get into the schedule, and then we'll come back to the board as we get in a little closer. And let's go look at Flashbang. So it looks like he's got the geriatric hat trick going today, and we've got a out-of-town travel pool call. That's at 8:50, so it looks like he's going to get over to Andrews Air Force Base, and then he's going to be headed over to Wisconsin, and we've got a TFR that would also confirm that, and then he gets back to out of that state and back to the Senior Living Center at about 6:05 p.m. So, but that going on, let's get over here to the TFR so we can just get a closer look. There we go. Okay, this is going to be your flashbang up here. And it's kind of interesting to think that he's headed into Wisconsin, given that that's going to be one of our audit states. And he seems to be spending a lot of time up here. And I'm not, I'm sure there's no such thing as a coincidence, right? And so building that support. I've got our active standing TFR over the Brown Zone or Senior Living Center. This is going to be space operations over Florida. This is going to be Disney down here. And then all these little blue boxes are rolling power that are out. A lot of these red boxes are going to be fire. So seem to have a lot of fires going on. Looks like Arizona right now has got quite a few fires. And I'm sure California will not be far behind them. And that is definitely coming. And then let's see, this one is kind of a weird looking. Let me just see what we got for this. I got an excessive heat warning for the area, which means it's going to get above 70 probably. And yeah, it looks to be an air show. All right. Okay. So let me back out of the TFRs and let's get over to the substance of this, the big meat, and that's going to be Guantanamo Bay. Now, again, this place is just, like I said, it's heating up like a junkie spoon. It is off the chain in terms of just the traffic that's been going on nonstop. So we go back. This is going to be a 2-week snapshot. You're going to notice we've got more United Airlines that seem to come in. Now, I did reach out, and I've had a couple folks that were flight crews that work for United Airlines that gave me kind of a breakdown of what we're really looking at when it comes to seating. It's pretty consistent across the board, not just United, but Delta. They all, American, they all do it. But what we want to do is look closer. I want to show you guys a couple things. the first time we looked at it, it was very consistent with a prison setup. But then as I spoke with the flight crew, I got kind of a different feel, and I'm not so sure that it is necessarily a prison setup based on what I was told by them. Okay, and so if we look closer, these red, you see the red and yellow boxes here. Left side is going to be the aircraft inbound flight coming down from the brown zone to the spa. Okay, and so notice that there are that I've circled them in red, but those seats are actually, there's X's in them. We originally thought those were occupied, but my understanding is that row 7 is one that they basically reserve seats for wheelchairs and things like that, and it's a default setting, you know, by the reservationists or whoever's handling this stuff. Okay, so it's in the system that way. And then the flight crew, when they get closer to boarding, you know, standby passengers or whatever it might be, if they don't have any wheelchair type of people, they will not put them, you know, these seats open up. Okay, same thing here on the exits, the other red and yellow boxes off to the left. Now I'm looking at the left chart. Okay, now the 2 seats that are in green appear to be where we would have on the left side, where those would be the passengers. So what it looks to me is that this flight actually has so this again, the 2 that are on the left hand side that are above the green and yellows, that's an exit row, and those are also typically reserved. Okay, and so it looks like we've got 2 passengers on this flight coming down from DC. So if I had to guess, I'm not thinking that would be prisoners, because if you had 2 like that, they would probably be close together, not sitting one on a window, one on an aisle. That to me is probably a staffer, if I had to guess. The fact that they leased an entire aircraft to come down for 2 people is pretty crazy. But I would think that's probably a staffer and their assistant. Okay. Now the return flight, if you notice, there are 2 seats ahead of all the others that look like they're new. Those would be actually flight crew. Okay. And so those flight crew would be deadheading back from Guantanamo Bay, and then you'd have the same two seats that were reserved for the other folks. Okay. So it doesn't look like, I don't think this is going to be a prison flight. So that makes me question whether or not the other one, United Airline 2578, that has come back and forth several times, are going to be the same thing. It looks like we've got something going on where they're requiring staffer to come down. Okay. So let me get back over to our main screen here. But that's just the data point. I don't know that I'm 100% right, but if you rule out the other ones as a default reserve within the system, then that kind of changes what we thought we may be looking at relative to prisoner transport. Now that is different than the last one. Last one definitely had more people on it, probably about 6, and they were definitely spaced apart. So the last one could have been a prisoner one, but it looks like this aircraft has been kind of pulled into the fold. To where they're utilizing it back and forth. Okay. All right. Now the other one that is interesting is we've got this one right here, which is the N329MC. Again, this is a white hat operation. These guys are coming and going pretty frequently now, back and forth. And then we get the other drop-ins. We've had 302 right here, 302 AZ, same company. Then of course you've got this one. This is Air Transport International. That is going to be, that's just a cargo or supply run. Okay. And it's a 757-200 cargo jet. And same thing here. This is a Amerijet, which is a 767-300. All right. So Airborne Express, but the Delta Airlines, I think that was probably flight crew. I was not able to access that one because it's not in their system. It's just kind of a weird thing, probably because it's going to the spa. Okay. All right, now let's get over to scheduled departures and then en route stuff. Now it looks like we've got that Delta airline flight that's going back up to the brown zone, and then we've got this other en route right here that's actually it. So that's coming inbound, and then it's going to just turn right back around. So there is that. If I had to guess, I would say you probably have some staffers coming in, and you may have either media or a jury pool that has been pulled into the spa. So that would maybe indicate that there are some hearings, or should I say, court cases actually going forward. And so based on the uptick of activity, I would say that's probably pretty realistic. Okay. I was going to say tribunals. That's the word I was looking for. So I'll come back and say it now. All right. Yeah, it looks like everything matches up. I don't see any that snuck in on us. So they look to be very, very close to the same exfilling as there are infilling. Okay. Okay, so that's one of them. Now let's get over and look at another one. And one of the things I will tell you as we look at the aircraft that are associated with the movement going in and out of the spa, we have had a change. We don't see some of the older aircraft that were going in before. Seems to be a new sheriff in town. Okay, but I will tell you, one of them is 100% very confident that's a white hat based on the research. Now, I mentioned earlier we have flight crews that actually go in and do some of the research and look at things, and then actually give me some data, which is really awesome. Okay, and it's not just United; it's across all of them. I mean, it's there's a lot of pilots that follow me, and it's pretty wild. And so they give me some really good insight to what I'm looking at. Okay, we also have people that do investigations. We have people that are boots on the ground. We've got it's pretty crazy. It's a pretty broad and all-encompassing monkey nation out there. And so when we have these holes, there's people that come forward with actually the background and intelligence to give us the data points to make an informed decision. Okay. And so we looked at one company as a white hat. Now I will tell you, there's another company we looked at that is definitely not a white hat. It's going to be a gray hat. And I will tell you, they probably play both sides of the aisle. And I will tell you that I'm not going to go deep into that company because I personally don't feel like taking a ride. Okay. So that said, what I'm going to do is I'm going to flash an image on the board, and I'm not going to say anything else about it. And I want you guys, those that know, will know immediately what I'm talking about. And I will tell you that is exactly what we found. All right. And so with that said, you guys are looking at it right now. All right. And so I will tell you that is 100% what we found. And, if you remember the old pain coming, I would say it's here. Okay. And so I'm not going to point out who the company is or the aircraft or anything like that because, again, I don't personally want to take a ride. And so this is one of those where you peel that onion back or you kick that rock and realize there was that image behind it. And you go, yeah, I think I'm going to step back a little bit and we're going to go back at a higher altitude. And so basically, based on the information that we have for that particular location where we think the operation is going on, I think we've gathered enough data to confirm what our thoughts were and that, we've got some solid data points. And so now it's just a matter of watching the flights at this point and seeing where they go and seeing if we can make the tie-ins. Okay. So that said, let's get over to some of the aircraft that we are watching that are associated with this stuff. And so first up is going to be the Maxwell Bird, which is N312FU. If you guys notice, this one's actually rolling out of Oakland, California, headed over to Roanoke, Virginia. So it's taking a long flight, and you can see it's en route now. Now, this one was recently, so yesterday, let's get into yesterday, the 28th. It started out, this is home operations, okay? And so went to Dallas, Love Field, ended up from Dallas, went over to Van Nuys, California, and then it looks like it ended up in Oakland, is now headed back to the East Coast. All right, but if you notice on Friday, that bad Mamma Jammer was over here in Opelika, okay? So between here and here are pretty good data points, okay? All right, now over to 302AZ. This is another one of your birds. If you notice, they all, like I said, they all are very similar type aircraft. They can pretty much have the same type of footprint, same type of logistics in terms of, runway requirements and range in terms of fuel and seating capacity, things of that nature. So, all right. So this one, 302AZ, this is actually currently in Sebring, Florida. It looks like it's headed up to the Brown Zone. All right. So that's outbound. And if we go back into earlier today, so it started out in Boca, went up here. Prior to that, it was over here in Tampa Bay, went over to Boca. So been up in Washington as of Sunday, which is only 2 days ago. All right. So there's that one. And then we've got N301AZ, landed about 2 hours, 2 minutes ago. It's down in Naples, went up to White Plains, New York. Now, we've seen White Plains pop on and off several times, and that's actually a location that is the Maxwell Bird has been flying in and out of. Okay, so not sure if that's contractors. Typically with the Maxwell Bird, that would be that's where the location of the contractors were that were supporting down here at the spa. Okay, and so that may be what we're seeing that they're utilizing this aircraft now. Okay, but let's see, don't have anything else for departure wise, but it looks like it was down here in Fernandina Beach, Florida. Now, being a Floridian myself, I don't know where that is, but looks like it went from there to Naples. So let me just pull it up because I've never heard of that spot. So let's see what we got. And it looks like Naples, and it went up north. So, all right. So there it is right there. So it's just, looks like kind of right just south of Jacksonville. Okay, learned something new today. Okay, now let's get over here. This is going to be N355AG. Now this is the movie studio bird. This is one that I wanted to just take a quick look at because it has been busy as of yesterday, and it's been in Teterboro. And if you notice, look at this flight pattern. I mean, it's all up and down in the city. Now remember, this is the one that's doing the filming, okay? And I'm pretty sure that the T-Man's aircraft is actually in Teterboro. I want to say it's where he keeps his hangar and everything else. So again, this is a helo, and that looks to be, you look at this, the green line is your altitude line, yellow line's airspeed. And so that altitude, you can see this guy's dipping down and back up, doing quite a bit. And that was a pretty good little flight. I want to say that was flight time on that one's an hour and 37 minutes. So got some good film on that. But we'll keep our eye on this because this is the one that we found going to Wilmington, Delaware. Okay, and we couldn't really explain why it was there. Now we know why it was in D.C. Because it was doing some Clinton impeachment videography or whatever it is they do, and filmography. And so that, but then the one that went up to Delaware just didn't make any sense. And the people that are actually working that project said they didn't know what it was doing there either. So, okay, over to N531AU. Now, this is getting into, this is actually, we're tracking the immigration stuff again, all right? Now, this is a new airplane. It's actually still Swift Air, and it looks like it is rolling out of Richmond, Virginia, headed back to Alexandria, Louisiana. Now, if you remember, the Alexandria location is where we've seen a lot of the planes coming from down in South America. So it looks like that may be another hub where they feel like they can get in and out without getting a lot of resistance. But today being the 29th, let's just take a look at where this aircraft has been. So started out down here in Brownsville, Texas, which is right smack dab on the border. And it went up to Toledo, Ohio from Brownsville. So we've got, it looks like a load that was taken up to Ohio. And then Ohio went down to Richmond, Virginia. And then Richmond, it's headed back over to Alexandria. So there is that one. You can see all the way since Thursday, this bad dude has been down on the border a couple times here. And from there, it went from Nicaragua to Brownsville. Okay. Now let's get over here to another one of the birds, same airline. This is going to be N397SW. It's currently en route right now, Jacksonville to, you guessed it, McAllen, Texas, which is a border town. So we get down here. This right here is your kind of pull in just a little closer. That's right here. This is your border. And so landing there, and then Brownsville's over here. So this is where they're operating in and out of. So I know that I've heard Greg Abbott talking about he's putting people down here on the border, and it's all lip service, because I can tell you these folks are still operating, and unless he starts basically, parking airplanes and holding people accountable, these people are just bypassing them. So they're getting on planes and heading in deeper into the country. Okay, now let's go over here and look at the live flights. Now this one I thought was interesting when I was looking at it earlier. We'll see if we've got any more on the board. But it's looks like they've already sequenced, but here's one. Looks like it's coming out of New Jersey into Laredo, again, border town there. There's your Alexandria one, and then here's your McAllen one that's currently en route to. So border town, and then San Antonio, that's processing, so is Alexandria. So, and then here's another San Antonio. So they are moving people into and across the country on your government dollars at a rapid pace. every day, around the clock. All right, now let's get over and we're just going to look at these. Now, these are all the government birds that we're going to look at that are Director of Homeland Security and the Assistant Director of Homeland Security, and or Deputy Director or whatever they're calling themselves these days. But this one is going to be C202. Now, this is the one that was tied to Bubba, who was in Spain, that basically suicided himself. Where the flight that came out of Spain and went to Nantucket and basically parked there, and then took another little hop over to DC. So from there, it looks like the deputy director is now flown out to the border, which is there's a border town, El Paso, and then it looks to be El Paso back to Reagan International. So looks like he did kind of a quick hop, was there overnight. That's about it. So that goes to tell you Homeland Security is hands-on. They know exactly what they're doing here, folks. All right, now C101, that is actually going to be your director, which is the same type of aircraft. You guys can see U.S. Coast Guard, that's what they fly, but that's a Gulfstream. It's a beautiful bird, and landed about 1 hour, 14 minutes ago, and it looks to be, imagine that, San Antonio, Texas. Probably just checking on the operation, making sure everything is going to plan, and there you have it, okay? Now, if you go back and look at this one, yesterday it was down here in New Orleans. It looks like it just did a little hop over. Probably, if I had to guess, it's greasing the skids for bringing some new legs into New Orleans. All right, if I had to guess. So, just making sure everything was in place for reception. Okay, and then this is going to be your DOJ. This is Jenna 622. Looks like he's currently rolling out of Eugene, Oregon. This would have been this is your Bill Barr replacement, and so, but this is your lack of justice department, and looks like they're rolling across, headed back into the brown zone, if I had to guess. Yeah, Manassas out to Eugene. All right, and there is that one, and let's see. This is actually going to be your little ground crew that rolls usually right in behind wherever the boss man is going, and so, but this is like what I would consider your deployment team. This is N721AL. Looks like they were, imagine that, in San Antonio, Texas as well. Probably just making sure, again, everything was in place. So came out of Lexington, Kentucky, went to the brown zone down to San Antonio. That was on yesterday, and then back. So it looks like we've got some interest down there. So Jenna was, like I said, if you go back over here, this is, by the way, that's actually DOJ boss. This is the one I'm looking at here. Sorry. So Homeland Security, and now they're headed into San Antonio as well. So there you have it. So they're coming in today. That's Homeland Security. Yesterday was DOJ into San Antonio right here. All right, back to DC. Okay, where there's smoke, there's fire. All right, let's get over to the spy craft real fast. This is going to be one of our spy birds. This is R 50577. Now you notice it rolled out of DC, and it is off the coast of Jersey, and this one's a little different pattern. It looks similar to what we've seen in the past, but you can see the little route, and then it's got these shoestring looking things, so they're gathering data right out here off the coast of Jersey. This is Atlantic City right here. Okay, and then its sister ship also landed 38 minutes ago in and out of DC. And this one actually looks to be over the Delaware part in Maryland. So here's Baltimore. All right, there's DC. And look at that. There's Dover. Okay, but running some routes there as well. So your government dollars at work, folks. Okay, back over to the main board. We can let this thing marinate for a second and refresh. And then we'll start kind of digging in now. That one right there caught my attention because it is red. 27,000 feet, and it looks like it's just basically returning to base, what it looks like. But I'm not seeing anything other than just an odd color. You don't see too many reds up there. That's why. Note the altitude on that. It's 57,000 feet. That's not accurate. So we've got some kind of a false thing. This looks to be 27,000. Looks to be the accurate altitude on that, okay? You're not going to get a C-130 up at 57,000 feet. Sorry. Okay, get out here over the west coast. Looks like we've got a reach headed up to Alaska. And we've got another one looks to be headed into Canada. It's actually climbing out. That one's on ground. Again, these are all the heavies. Get down here to the Beale Air Force Base area. So here's Sacramento here. That is, let me see what this one's doing. Not really doing anything. So, but that's going to be an air refueler. You got a C5. Looks like that one is coming inbound. Actually, no, climbing out. 875 feet. Just got off ground. And these are little C-27Js. Couple lawn darts. San Diego looks like it's just business as usual. Got an A-10 out here in the desert. Little E2. And for those not familiar with that, little E2, this thing actually is like similar to your little Sentry, your E3 Sentry. It's an airborne weather, air traffic control kind of thing, right? So you got the little radar dish on the top. Twin engine turboprop, and so it lands. You got the little hook back here. So it's designed to land and take off of aircraft carriers. Okay. All right, now over to Central U.S. Boy, my screen is not liking what I'm doing right now. Hopefully it'll pull together. There we go. These are all trainers in this general area. Not seeing too much that catches my eye. Again, that looks to be, yeah, that's a two-ship. So a little two-ship of the Puma 70. That's just a faulty read, but right, two-ship. And then up here, what do we have? 767-200. So air refueler. And that one is, I don't know what that is. That shows as a DC-9, but as I get into it, it was showing as a C-17. So actually, no, it's showing as a DC-9 now. These are usually air medevacs, is what I typically find on these Marine Corps. I didn't even think they flew DC-9s anymore. I thought I saw something on there that said C-17, but it looks to be actual DC-9. So, all right. And these are trainers right here, little trainer birds. So let's get over here to the East Coast and delve in. This is all trainer activity. Got a lot of heavies in the general area. That tanker looks like they were hanging out over this area for a little while, doing some air refueling, and is headed back to base, what it appears. Let's see if we got any air refuelers. I'm not seeing any up over DC, so no air refuelers over the brown zone, nothing to speak of. A couple C-130s, got some H-60 helo activity. Kind of quiet, actually. When you zoom in, it doesn't look quite as impressive. So now these two look to be running together. I've been watching them. This one is a whitetail, and it's flying under the Reach aircraft symbol, but which would indicate that it's cargo, but maybe not. And then this is another whitetail. It's a Navy whitetail there, and that looks to be, if I had to guess, that's the Air Force whitetail. So they seem to be headed outbound. Who knows? Maybe they're headed to Spain. You know, be interesting. All right, let's look at Europe real fast, and then we'll wrap things up. I don't see. I'm just kind of waiting for things to pop onto the screen to see if we got anything significant. Got a couple Osprey. Like I said, we got an Osprey up right there, V-22, and A400. This one that's gonna be just a French bird. Little G5. Let me see who that belongs to. That's a Poland G5. And I don't know what kind of airplane that is. Okay, that's almost like your little. So that's like a ATR. It's a 146. So it's a jet engine versus the old turboprop variant. And then it looks like we got some air refuelers. That's two refuelers actually over the general area headed towards. So this is Israel right here. And then this little EH-10, which looks to be an Israeli EH-10 out over the water. All right, let me break out over the Middle East here and see if we got any activity at all, but I'm not seeing anything on the board, so maybe just kind of quiet over there, which is really strange because you know it's not quiet. So, all right, that, folks, is going to be it for today on the SITREP. Like I said, when we started looking at the companies that are flying into and out of Guantanamo Bay, it looks like we got rid of the black hats. Looks like we've got some white hat activity on the uptick, which is that's promising. Got a gray hat in there that we're not going to look at too closely on ground. We'll just kind of keep it at a high level because, like like I said, I don't feel like going for a ride. And so there's that. And then the Black Hat activity is going to be all of your immigration stuff. It looks to be everything is shifted over from the spa support into actually bringing people inbound. So there's that. All right, folks, that's going to be it. So we will see you again on Friday. Not sure what the time's going to be. It's either going to be early morning Friday or afternoon Friday, and then we'll get that posted up. So it's going to be it. God bless. Monkey out. Check out the latest gear at Werx, US.